You realize that you are bisexual in Southeast Asia. For many people, bisexuality is crudely reduced to a kind of greedy desire. In Southeast Asia, home is not a safe haven, it is an interrogation room. When you try to tell your parents that you can be attracted to both men and women, what you see is not anger, but a kind of dead silence. Your mother turns away, continuing to stir the tom yum soup, or lowers her head to fiddle with her prayer beads. Your father crushes out a cigarette and coldly says, "Don't be ridiculous. You just haven't met the right person yet." They cut off the conversation. They use silence to prune your branches, trying to force you back into a mold called normal. To them, if you could be attracted to the opposite sex, then all your same-sex desires must be erased. They call this coming back to the right path. All you want is to love someone sincerely. You don't want to be part of anyone else's crisis about continuing the family line. You tell the world who you are, or more precisely, you tell them that you don't need to choose a side. The world responds with a collective glitch. People start treating you like a living typo. You become a malfunction in this conservative social order. They stare at you as if your sexuality is a personal inconvenience to them, as if you rejected the wedding script they had already written for you. The pressure to marry becomes a slow siege, peaking during holidays, during Lunar New Year in Vietnam, at family gatherings in the Philippines. Relatives sit around you, scanning you with probing eyes. They no longer see you as an individual, but as something to be sold or a task to be completed. Since you can like men or women, why not just marry someone properly? That sentence pierces your spine like a thorn. They think you're pretending, that you're wasting your potential. They use your attraction to the opposite sex as leverage, try to strangle your desire for the same sex. Family life quickly becomes awkward. Some elders ignore it, believing it's just a phase that time will fix. Others weaponize it, accusing you of being unfilial, of tainting the bloodline. Holidays turn into performances. You sit there, your name is correct, but your emotional history is treated as non-existent, your future forcibly trimmed. The ham and tom yum are delicious, so no one talks about it. You sit there, feeling both invisible and painfully conspicuous. And if you think you can escape by leaving home and finding refuge in LGBTQ plus bars and communities, you're mistaken. When you walk into a bar or a queer party in Manila, you find there are walls here too. Gay men look you over, then laugh and step away. People like you always end up going back to marry straight. Lesbians interrogate you. Do you really love women, or are you just experimenting? You are pushed to the margins. Heterosexual circles see you as a ticking promiscuity bomb. Queer communities see you as a potential traitor ready to leave at any time. When you try to share your feelings, people question whether it's a sincere confession or just a performance. In the mirrors at parties, you see someone who feels half like a fraud, half like an alien. If you show up with a same-sex partner, they call you gay. If you show up with an opposite-sex partner, they kick you out of the group chat. No one cares about the truth. Inside you, they only look at who is standing beside you. You are forced to switch masks in different social settings. At one table, you pretend to be completely gay. At another, you act entirely straight. This constant tearing of identity leaves you, late at night in front of the mirror, unable to even remember what you originally looked like. Work becomes a constant negotiation. You listen to co-workers making homophobic or biphobic jokes. You correct them once, maybe twice, and then you give up. You shrink yourself, smiling as you accept the blind dates they set you up on. The employee handbook talks about diversity, but your paycheck doesn't cover the cost of being the office bisexual educator. You keep switching and adjusting until even your sense of self begins to fracture, hiding your discomfort beneath spreadsheets. Dating turns into an obstacle course. People want you to explain your bisexuality as if it's an optional add-on on a menu. They treat it as something temporary, performative. They ask whether you really like the same sex, or if you're just trying it out. You stop counting how many people claim to be open-minded, only to withdraw when they learn you've had deep emotional connections with the opposite sex. You are ignored, objectified, mistaken for being promiscuous, sometimes all at once. In Southeast Asia, law and religion hang over bisexual people like two heavy hammers. In parts of Indonesia, religious police patrol the streets. If you, as a bisexual person, are caught in a same-sex space, you may face public humiliation or even caning. Yet if you retreat into a loveless heterosexual marriage, society rewards you. That reward is another form of violence. It forces you to perform every day beside someone you don't love, to give your body in exchange for the right to survive. When bisexual women face domestic violence at home, they often don't dare go to the police. If they say their husband beat them after discovering they once loved a woman, they may be mocked or even told they deserved it. If they are assaulted in a same-sex relationship, the law often looks away. In the eyes of many authorities, bisexuality implies a chaotic private life. And if you are chaotic, then the violence you suffer is treated as a consequence. Healthcare becomes a minefield. To avoid the judgmental stares of doctors, to avoid being labeled as high risk for HIV and lectured, many bisexual people choose to hide. They lock the truth in their throats. Even when their bodies are unwell, even when their minds are breaking down, they simply take the medication and leave like wandering shells of themselves. Strangers turn your identity into a public debate. Your past, your future, your body all becomes subjects of discussion. People ask which gender you prefer more, as if you were a haunted house to be explored. They ask who you'll marry in the future, like they're betting on a game with unknown odds. Their curiosity becomes permission to dismantle your dignity. The internet is not a safe haven. You post a selfie and the comment section turns into a battlefield. Some call you brave, others call you disgusting. Some say you keep the B label for heterosexual privilege. Others say you don't belong in the rainbow at all. You become content, not a person. And all of this happens before breakfast. You begin to doubt yourself not because you're confused, but because people keep projecting their binary biases onto you. You repeat your identity so many times that it starts to sound false, even in your own mouth. You reread every message just to see how much explanation is required. You start to wonder if you're too complicated, too exhausting, too much. You shrink yourself into a more acceptable monosexual version and then resent the suffocating feeling it brings. Why are depression rates higher among bisexual people? Because rejection from both sides means double the loneliness. Heterosexuals condemn you. Homosexuals distrust you. You're like someone thrown overboard in a storm, abandoned by two ships at once. You wave desperately, but each side thinks you belong to the other. Many, after enduring long stretches of exclusion and waiting, eventually let go of the rope that kept them afloat. Even happiness comes with conditions. You find someone who loves you, and people say you're avoiding responsibility. You find community, and they say your presence lowers their purity. You exist with confidence, and they call it arrogance. You meet people who call themselves allies, but their support feels like a checklist. They treat you like a trophy of inclusivity, yet in private still call you undecided. They voted the right way, so you're expected to be grateful even while they continue to misunderstand you. You keep teaching people things they could have learned with a simple search. You explain so much that it becomes a script, complete with footnotes about Southeast Asian virtues. Sometimes you wonder if it would be easier to just choose one label to pretend to be purely gay, or return to heterosexuality. But pretending hurts more than misunderstanding. Hiding never brings healing. You try to remember this. Being bisexual is not the problem. The problem is a world that refuses to make space for anything outside its binary script. You are tired, not sleepy, but soul weary. Tired of being questioned, erased, mocked. Tired of constantly being forced to choose between traitor and outsider. Stop explaining. Start living. We need to stop proving to our parents that we can become better. We need to stop proving to communities that we are loyal enough. We need to reject labels that try to define us. Love is a verb, not a noun. When I fall in love with someone, I am offering my soul, not filling out a gender census form. If you are in a relationship that is being judged, if you feel ashamed of your capacity to love more than one gender, stand up straight. Take a deep breath. You're not a phase. You are not promiscuous. You are not a traitor. You are one of the most vibrant forms of life on this tropical land. You carry the courage to cross boundaries, the ability to embrace diversity. The world is used to black and white because it is simple, but you are the resilient transition within the spectrum of the rainbow. From today on, stop hiding. Step forward. Love who you want to love. Live the life you want to live. Those who try to silence you will. In the sound of your steady footsteps, come understand what true freedom looks like. To all bisexual people in Southeast Asia, in China, and in every corner of the world, don't look back, keep moving forward. Your existence is the strongest form of resistance.